Hey, hi guys, it's Brad Tassel. Thanks for having me. In kind of a weird setup here because I'm exhausted, is what I'm exhausted. I always thought working on ships was difficult, but it wasn't. You got to sleep half the time and just do 30-minute shows. But I'm just exhausted from COVID, is what it is. I'm Brad Tassel, by the way. It's lovely to see everybody. I'm from Santa Claus, Indiana. If you haven't heard of Santa Claus, Indiana, one thing we do is we get letters from kids around the world to Santa every year. If a child puts Santa Claus on an envelope, it comes to us. If they put North Pole, it goes to the North Pole, Alaska. And so we got, and it doesn't have to have a stamp, anything. I think we got maybe 130,000 letters from kids around the world to Santa this last Christmas, and we burn them. Also, I have a daughter, also exhausted too. My wife and I'm married. My wife and we dropped our daughter off this fall in all the COVID at the dorm for the first year at the dorm. And that's rough. And especially, for my wife and I being empty nesters, she's our only daughter. So it's been rough. It's been harder on the daughter because she's 9. But I think, you just can't coddle these kids. You got to get them out at some point. The only problem we've been having is we kind of forgot what school we stopped at. So I hope she's okay and all that. So as I said, I've got a wife. And she's nice. She's nice. And all this time together, COVID has been good. I've been a comic on the road for so long that people always ask you, if you're doing stuff on the road. And I never did. Never did. And I'm not thinking about it now because we spend this time together. I've never even thought of looking at another woman. People think of this all the time. And that may sound like a Puritan or something like that, but it's not. Every time I even think of looking at another woman, I pull out my wallet, I open it up, I pull out the picture of my house. And that slows me down right there. So I've got the wife, and people always ask me about the secret to marriage. I don't know if you know this, but I've got a master's in behavioral science, and I do a show called 1,000 Marriage Questions with a therapist where we answer marriage questions. People always say, "What's the secret to marriage, Brad? What's the secret?" And I'll tell you, I was in Atlantic City doing a show years ago. God, if I could just go back there and do a show again. And there was an old couple right up front, and I mean old, not like you're thinking. I mean old. It was like 6 oxygen tanks and 5 scooters. It was an old couple. And I said, "Anybody been married a long time?" And this little old man, so slow, just raised his hand. He goes, Sir, I've been married 72 years." And people are clapping. That's amazing. 72 years. I said, "Sir, what's the secret to such a long marriage?" He goes, "The secret to a long marriage is friendship." Friendship. I said, "That is so beautiful." He goes, "Yes, sir. My wife and I have a lot of other friends." So that was his secret. Although I will tell you this, I was doing that bit on stage once when we got to do that. And I said, it goes slow. I was like, "The secret is," and I yelled out, "Viagra," really loud. And what's funny, and the men laughed and the young women laughed. But I will tell you right now that a lot of women that are getting a little older, that are in their 60s and maybe 70s, they are ready for, let's just say delicately, for some soldiers to fade away. They have heard taps. Dun da da dun da da dun da da dun da da dun da da. They're like, "Free at last. I'm free from the penis at last." And then one blue pill later, dun 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 dun. They're like, "Oh no." I had one lady in Las Vegas go, "You know what I did? I switched his Viagra with Ambien. And in the morning I said, 'You were amazing last night, big boy.'" So the secret to marriage, though, if I am going to be serious on this video at one point, is that I always say, if you think of the other person before you do anything, you will stay married forever unless you think of them and then do the exact opposite of what would make them happy. I think that's very important. So people ask me too. There are people talking a lot. I think they ask a lot of the comics if you're, missing the stage and stuff like that. And I do miss that. I'll take a drunk in a comedy club right now. People always ask too. They're like, "Well, it's got to be scary to deal with hecklers. I say, no, no. See, I worked as a mime in a liquor store before. So a drunk in a comedy club is nothing compared to 6 hours putting raging alcoholics in an invisible box, a box they sometimes thought they were actually in. You know, saying, no, I'm claustrophobic. I need a drink. So back in college, I was offered $20 an hour to stand in a small liquor store dressed as a mime, silently like cajoling broke beer drinkers towards an expensive champagne. So by the way, this is the same kind of ad genius that thought the Black Lives Matter movement could be fixed by Kylie Jenner handing a Pepsi to a policeman. You know, saying, here, officer, I like black guys. Mm. So I'm not really sure that the afternoon lunches, lunches? What is that? Lushes. I'm not sure the afternoon lushes were ready for a guy in whiteface and black tights replacing their case of Mad Dog 2020 with a $60 a bottle brute, which I did all the time. I would go buy their cards at the drug and I would take out, and then I would put in a bunch of that. And most were just so freaked out they bought it. They were like, did anyone else see the Ghost of Powder? Does anyone remember that movie? I don't know. So, and you really do. You really learn to duck fast when a confused biker with whiskey breath throws a sloppy roundhouse punch because the mannequin that he's now gotten 2 inches from just screamed right in his face. So proving that not only do I not worry about hecklers, I'm kind of a bigger ass. So, so what else? What else can we do before we finish up? I will say this, that interesting things about COVID, people are talking about mail-in voting and other ways of voting, and I have no problem whatsoever with any other kind of voting. Matter of fact, Texas is trying drive-through voting, which I think in the COVID world, that's innovation, and you know, they're closing a lot of sites, so drive-through voting and casting a ballot for people with mobility issues especially, it makes a lot of sense. I think the only problem that they've been having is that when they pull up, you know, they go in and a person with a mask hands the person their ballot, and some get confused and they shove it up their nose. Oh, that was a long way to go for that joke. So, okay, so one final thing that I want to talk about is that I've really been thinking about how the different reactions people have to this COVID and the different reactions we have in our bodies to like these pathogens, how some people are getting sicker than others, young people are getting sick, some old people are dying. How is it we're affected differently by viruses and all that? See, what's interesting is I've never had a lot of trouble. Medicines work on me quick, vaccines work on me quick, I heal really fast. I run in the woods every day. I ran 10 miles today in the forest, and I probably destroy 10 spider webs as I'm running through, and at least 3 of the spiders are still on my back as I stopped, and they're swinging and they're going, keep going, fat boy. I'm telling you this right now, if ticks get on me and bite me, they gag and they jump off. For some reason, I don't have this problem. Mosquitoes, I see mosquitoes on my skin, they bite me, and their babies die. Do you understand what I'm saying to you right now? Now, my wife is a totally different story. She could get chiggers at the Best Buy. Okay, so then she would spend 6 weeks scratching these little critters as they kind of Airbnb'd into her panty line. So, okay, let me give you a quick story. So my wife was trimming a bush. So, okay, well, okay, shut up. I know how that, a bush. So she was trimming a bush, and a bug flew out. She didn't even see it and bit her just right on the thumb or the finger, and she had to get antibiotics just from one little bug. I'm telling you this, I had a spider crawl in my mouth once and bite my lip. The swelling was gone before little Charlotte got pooped out by me. So I'm saying we're all different. Some are vulnerable. Some take vaccines and do it better. Everyone should try the vaccine. And the point is, I think you should all look at this. Don't bring COVID home. Just take a little time to listen to the science. Does that make sense? It's because I'm not going to bring it home. I'm going to make sure I don't. Because I rarely get infected by things. But my wife, she needs a tetanus shot if she meets a person named Rusty. Does that make sense? Okay. Matter of fact, the last story, I had 30 leeches on my leg one time after putting in a dock, and I asked them to leave, and they did. Okay, so how much time have I done? Let's look at it. Oh, Thank you very much for having me. Have a great time. This has been wonderful. Brad Tassel out.